First of all, what are your thoughts on the election, on the victory of Joe Biden today?
Well, listen, for me, it was a lot of work explaining what I thought was going on in the society and what I thought the damage would have been from a President Trump additional term. So I am thrilled that this has happened. I think it's great for America. I think it's great for the world. And I think long term, it'll also be great for the Republican Party, which is a party that I'm still a part of, that I feel Mr. Trump had hijacked and sort of turned it into a personality cult, which was demagogic and very dangerous.
Are you still a member of the party, or did you vote for Joe Biden?
I'm still a member of the party, but I voted for Joe Biden, but I voted for Republicans down ticket, and I voted my conscience, which I recommended to most Americans to do. He was the best choice for the Republican Party, Joe Biden. Mr. Trump is not a Republican in the classic sense of Republican Party politics.
Right. Let's go back to the time when you worked with the president in the White House as communications director. We all know you worked there for 11 days and then you were fired by the president. Have you ever talked to him after that period of time?
Oh, yeah, no, certainly. Yeah, listen, I was fired by General Kelly. The president doesn't like personal confrontation with people. So John Kelly, his first act as White House Chief of Staff was to fire me. And as I've always said, I did something fireable, so I was not offended by being fired, and I had nobody to blame other than myself. And so I tried to stay loyal to the president's agenda. I talked to the president a few days after my firing, and I thought it was important, despite the fact that I was fired. And I think you met me, frankly, and I was still supporting and trying to defend the president for almost 2 years after my departure. But it became impossible to defend the combination of his personality and his policies, and a result of which, at his peak poll numbers back in August of 2019, I said, I'm sorry, I can't support this sort of behavior anymore, or what he's doing to the United States. And so therefore, I'm renouncing my support. And people looked at me like I was crazy because he was at the highest polling numbers and the economy was doing well. But I said to people back then that he was going to lose the election, primarily because there was something wrong with him. And there was this self-destructive streak in his personality. And it more or less played out the way I thought. And here we are now.
So what do you think he will do? Because if you follow his Twitter feed, he's not willing to say congratulations to Joe Biden and apparently leave the White House. So from you know him very well. What do you think he will do?
Well, there's a obscure procedural thing that he may try. Some of the arch-conservative pundits are recommending that he push the state legislatures in certain Republican states to remove the electors. And it's an arcane law, but the electors have always been given to the popular vote. In some of those constitutions, those state constitutions, the state legislatures may be able to take those electors away from the popular vote and give them to who's ever controlling the state legislature. And so that's something that would have to be challenged by the U.S. Supreme Court. And President Trump has 3 people that he put on that court. And I think he's confident that he may be able to flip the election by doing that. I don't think he's going to be capable of doing that. I don't even think Mitch McConnell is going to allow him to do that, but we'll have to see. I mean, that's the craziness of President Trump. And that is the clearest example. The way he's handled himself over the last 72 hours is the clearest example and the largest amount of evidence, frankly, as to why he should no longer be president and why he should have never been president in the first place. He has no class or no level of decorum. He has said repeatedly that he wouldn't necessarily accept a peaceful transfer of power in the oldest standing Republican democracy. And I find that to be ridiculously offensive. It's ridiculously offensive to America. And therefore, there was a higher order of patriotism to speak out against it, as opposed to clinging to partisanship or some of that political nonsense.
Do you think he's willing to fire up his base and tell them, go out on the street, do whatever it takes to get me in the White House or to get 4 more years in the White House?
I don't know. I hope not. You know, is it possible? Yes. But I sincerely hope not.
Do you think he still has the support of the Republican Party?
Well, I think they're afraid of him. I think he got 70-ish million votes, and I think that they're, in my opinion, misinterpreting those votes. There's a signal and a noise to those votes. The signal that Mr. Trump and his family want people to hear is that those people were voting for him. But I actually think that's the noise. I think the signal is about those people voting for themselves and those people voting for the fact that they feel disaffected from the American system and they feel angry about that, a result of which they want to send a message. It's almost like a customer complaint. This system's not working for me. My wages are down. I haven't been able to get a new job. I need jobs training. I need help with my children and my family. And the establishment parties for the last 3 decades have not really provided that. And at least in Mr. Trump's case, he's been an avatar for their anger. He's sort of been their anger representative in Washington. So if we can cure their ills, if we can calm them down and we can provide them with good policy solutions, I think Trumpism and the specter of nationalism and all of the negativity that goes with that level of populism will die off in the United States. And I think the vice president has the opportunity to be that transformative post-partisan leader. And I pray that he'll take the advice and counsel of people and try to run the government in a centrist manner.
Yeah. Last question, Mr. Scaramucci. Do you think that there's these 70 million people that voted for Trump and who feel disenfranchised, and some of them are very angry, that Joe Biden can bring them in the fold and do something for them?
I do think so. I do think so. And I will say this, that my dad grew up about 15 miles from the vice president, or now the president-elect, in northeastern Pennsylvania, which is predominantly a coal mining town and a lower middle class area of our country. And I think he has the pathos, I think he has the empathy and the understanding of what those people are going through. And I think he's going to be extremely focused on trying to offer them a policy solution. And if you study history, European history, American history, the dissipation of populism comes when there's aspirational hope and aspirational opportunity. And I think it's important for all of us as Americans to work on that with him. And this is a great day for the world, because this would have been a nightmare for the world. President Trump would have hurt our Western European alliances. He would have continued to politicize the science around the pandemic. And he would have been a great danger. Hundreds, tens of thousands, if not 100,000 or so more people would have died had he been reelected. And so I'm very happy today.
Anthony Scaramucci, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Good to be here. Thank you.